Good morning, Rocketeers. We're going to get started with our read aloud for today. And I'm excited. Today we're going to read one of my favorite stories, and it's actually The Little Red Hen. And this is by the author is Paul Galdoni. And I really love this story because it does teach us a very important lesson at the end of the story. And something that I also thought it was interesting is that I actually have two different versions. Now, when you have two different versions, or there could actually be more than two, but it means if you see here, this one it's called The Little Red Hen, but this one says makes a pizza. Now we'll be able to see that today, the story that we are going to be reading today, the little red hen is actually trying to make bread, but this other version is that they're trying to make pizza. So I think that's actually funny and interesting. So here you can tell here it says retold by Philemon Sturgis. So that means that it's a different author. So different authors telling the same story. So there are going to be some differences. There's a lot of things that are the same. So I just wanted to share that there are the books that we love. There are other versions sometimes, and it could be just as fun to read them. So the Little Red Hen. Here I see a hen that is carrying some tools. She's wearing a bonnet or like a hat and carrying a watering can. And I know I've never seen a real live hen doing any of this, like wearing clothes or carrying tools. So that lets me know right away that this is not a real story. It is fake. And when something is fake, that means it's fiction. And that just means that the author used his or her imagination to write the story. So as always, when we do have a fiction story, we want to think about our story elements. And S stands for setting, and setting is where and when the story takes place. T stands for talking characters, and the talking characters could be people, animals, or objects that talk or act in the story, and we are going to have talking animals in our story for today. O stands for, oh no, there is a problem. And the problem is when the character wants or needs something, but they can't have it. They usually try to resolve the problem, but the first time they try, they fail, but they're not going to give up and they're going to try again until finally, yes, the problem is solved. So I already told you that one of the reasons why I love The Little Red Hen is because at the end it teaches us a lesson. And we always talk about how books can teach us lessons, but today I wanted to focus a little bit more on, well, how do we figure out what lesson the characters learned and what we can learn by reading the story. And so usually the lesson is what the author is trying to teach us in the story, and it's usually so that we can become a better person. And the way we want to figure out or think about what the lesson in the story is, you want to make sure you read the whole text. If you're trying to figure out the lesson of the story, it doesn't make sense to stop halfway, right? You have to read the whole text. Now think about who the characters are and what kind of problem do they have? What is the problem? How did they solve the problem? And usually once the problem is solved, that's when we can think about, what did the characters learn? How are they going to become better people or animals after solving this problem? So that's what we're going to be thinking today, who the characters are, what the problem in the story is, how they solve the problem, and then we can figure out what the message or the lesson that the author wants us to learn. So let's get started. Remember, setting and talking characters usually happens at the beginning of the story. The problem and the attempt to resolve happens in the middle, and at the end we have how the problem was solved. Okay, the little red hen. Once upon a time, a cat and a dog and a mouse and a little red hen all lived together in a cozy little house. So we just got started with our story and we already know the setting. Here it says they lived in a cozy little house, and we already know that the characters are a cat, a dog, a mouse, and the little red hen. So we already got that right from the first page of our story. The cat liked to sleep all day on the soft couch. That does look cozy. The dog liked to nap all day on the sunny back porch. Ooh, he's dreaming about a bone. And the mouse liked to snooze all day in the warm chair by the fireside. That's the mouse right there. So the little red hen had to do all the housework. She cooked the meals and washed the dishes and made the beds. She swept the floor and washed the windows and mended the clothes. Oh my, look at her facial expression. It doesn't say so here in the book, but I'm going to make an inference. When you make an inference, it's just like trying to figure out how might someone be feeling, or what do you think they're thinking, or why do you think they're acting a certain way. So it doesn't say that here in the book, but you want to figure out, it's something that you want to figure out. So here I just heard in the story that the other animals don't want to help the little red hen, so she has to do all the work. And I'm looking at her face, and she feels a little like maybe stressed out. And if Eve were me, so now I'm pretending like, well, how would I feel if I was in the hen's place? And I would probably feel frustrated, tired that I was doing all the work. Again, it doesn't say that here in the book, but I'm making an inference. She raked the leaves and mowed the grass and hoed the garden. One day, when she was hoeing the garden, she found some grains of wheat. "Who will plant this wheat?" cried the little red hen. "Oh, not I," said the cat. "Oh, not I," said the dog. "Not I," said the mouse. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. Each morning the little red hen watered the wheat and pulled the weeds. Soon the wheat pushed through the ground and began to grow tall. When the wheat was ripe, the little red hen asked, "Who will cut this wheat?" "Oh, not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Not I," said the mouse. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. When the wheat was all cut, the little red hen asked, "Now who will take this wheat to the mill to be ground into flour?" Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Not I," said the mouse. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. Oh, look at her facial expression. Well, her expression again. I don't think she's very happy. Again, the text doesn't say anything about how the hen is feeling, but I can make an inference and say, if that were me, I don't think I will feel happy. So I don't think that hen is feeling very happy with her friends right now. But again, I'm making an inference. I'm thinking how I would feel if I were the hen. The little red hen returned from the mill carrying a small bag of fine flour. "Who will make a cake from this fine white flour?" asked the little red hen. Oh yeah, I thought she was making bread. It's a cake. "Oh, not I," said the cat. "Oh, not I," said the dog. "Not I," said the mouse. Hmm. So we already have a problem. I hope you figure it out already. And what's the problem in this story? What does the character want? Yeah, the character wants help from her friends in making that cake, But all her friends I say they'd rather sleep than help her. So that's a big problem because the hen seems to be doing all the work and her friends are not helping her. Then I will, said the little red hen, and she did. She gathered sticks and made a fire in the stove. Then she took milk and sugar and eggs and butter and mixed them in a big bowl with the fine white flour. When the oven was hot, she poured the cake batter into a shining pan and put it in the oven. And I know how I'm thinking, how is the red hen trying to solve her problem? We already know that the problem is that she's trying to make a cake and her friends are not trying to help her, but she does try to ask for help over and over. So she keeps asking, who's going to help me? Who's going to do this? But they're all saying, oh, not I. So she is trying to resolve her problem by asking for help, but her friends are not helping her. Soon a delicious smell filled the cozy little house. The cat got off the couch and strolled into the kitchen. The dog got up from the sunny back porch and came into the kitchen. Something smells good. The mouse jumped down from his warm chair and scampered into the kitchen. The little red hen was just taking a beautiful cake out of the oven. Who will eat this cake? Asked the little red hen. I will, cried the cat. I will, cried the dog. I will, cried the mouse. Oh, look how eager they look, how happy they are. They're ready to eat the cake. Do you think that little red hen should share with the animal, with her friends? Yes or why or no? Why? But the little red hen said, all by myself. I planted the wheat. I tended the wheat. I cut the wheat. I took the wheat to the mill to be ground into flour. All by myself. I gathered the sticks. I built the fire. I mixed the cake, and all by myself, I am going to eat it. Oh, is she going to share? No. She's saying, you know what? I had to do all this hard work by myself, so I'm going to eat it by myself. Do you think that's fair? Should she share with the other animals? Okay. And so she did to the very last crumb. Huh. Oh, look at their faces. I don't think they're very excited that they didn't get to share that cake. I personally think that's fair. If they didn't help with the work, then they shouldn't get the reward. After that, whenever there was work to be done, the little red hen had three very eager helpers. The end. Let's clap for them. Good job. So, what lesson can we learn? If we think about the characters, we know we had the little red hen and we had the cat, the dog, and the mouse. What was the problem? So the problem was that the little red hen was asking her friends for help in making the cake and none of them wanted to help. How was the problem solved? Well, at the end of the story, the hen ate the cake all by herself and she said, you know what? I did all the work, so I'm going to eat it all by myself. What I like about this story is at the end, it says here, well, after that day, whenever the little red hen needed help, the cat, the dog, and the mouse were eager to help because now they learned a lesson. What was the lesson? Okay, so for me, the lesson is that, well, you need to either work together or when someone needs help, you should be helping them. You can't expect and let other people or other, in this case, animals, to do all the work for you and then get that reward. So if you want to be part of the reward, then you also need to be part of the work and the process that takes in order for you to get that reward. So I really like this story again because towards the end, the the animals here, the cat, the dog, and the mouse, they learned that they should have been more helpful, and they should have helped the hen in making that cake, or the cake, if they wanted to be part of eating the cake. Now, are we little red hens? No. Are we a cat, a dog, or a mouse? No. Can we still learn a lesson from reading the story? Absolutely. So here we can learn that, when you see your parents or someone else working hard, you could also offer to help them and do your share of the work. Or, like, if you already had fun playing with toys, then maybe you can help um, clean up after yourself, because you were the one that had fun playing with them. So in the comments, you can share your favorite part, or you can say, do you agree with the little red hen? Was it, did she make the right choice by not sharing, or do you think it would have been fair for her to share? Go ahead. I look forward to hearing from you. Was it fair, or was it unfair, not fair, that the little red hen did not share with the animals? Let me know. Make sure you post. Thank you.